Smart24, driving business.
A pretty warm welcome once again on Smart24 TV. Today is 11th of June 2023. Like we do every Sunday, we are coming up with business edition. The President of Uganda, remember, spoke to the nation and spoke very many things, including the growth of the economy, and more of the stories will be coming up on your way. My name is Pedison Mumbere. A very warm welcome once again to Smart24 TV. This is the business edition that is starting now. Let us start with the state of the nation that happened over there at Kololo Airstrip, of course, by the President of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Museveni highlighted so very many things, but what piqued my attention is the growth of the economy, which he said has grown up to $49.4, highlighting that even the inflationary pressures has also decreased. Of course, this attracted the attention of very many Ugandans, including some of the political actors who responded to this very statement made by the President of Uganda. Of course, our reporter Sam Hanifa was on ground that very day, and let's have a look at what she had to compile for us on that very day.
Article 101 of the Constitution of Uganda mandates the President to address the country at the very start of every financial year. While opening the third session of the 11th Parliament, Speaker Anita Mong informed the country that so far 38 bills have been passed during the second session.
Value-Added Tax Amendment Bill 2023, the Exercise Duty Amendment Bill 2023, the Lotteries and Gaming Amendment Bill 2023, the Tax Procedure Code Amendment Bill 2023.
During the state speech, President Museveni expressed his pleasure over the presumably good performance of the economy, whose gross domestic product has grown to $49.4 billion, 30 times more since 1986.
The NRM government took administration of the country. The size of our economy was equivalent to $1.5 billion. That's what it was in 1986. Today, our economy is about $49.4 billion. In other words, the economy, this is if you use the exchange rate method, in other words, the economy has expanded by more than 30 times since 1986.
According to the President, continued implementation of the troubled parish development model, Emyooga oil and gas sector are crucial, as he highlighted how recovery of economies in Asia Middle East is a benchmark. Locally, the GDP is expected to grow up to $156.7 billion since in 5 years as inflation drops.
This growth will arise from 1. Economic stability as a result of low inflation. 2. Establishment of more manufacturing plants, factories. Ugandans, when you hear plants, don't think they are talking about crops. Plants in this English of theirs mean factories. I don't know why they call them plants. Amakorero. Continued implementation of the parish development model. 4. Support to small and medium-scale enterprises through Emyooga circles, the youth and women funds and other initiatives. 5. Increased oil and gas sector activities. And 6. Growth in regional trade and the positive impact of the continued recovery of the economies of in the Middle East, Asia, Europe, and the USA, which provide markets for our exports.
In the 2023-2024 financial year, economic priorities are led by peace and security, with over 7 trillion for governance and security, effective implementation of parish development model, transport as the SGR remains focal, renewable energy utilization through solar-powered irrigation system for modern agriculture hasn't been left out, as corruption is to be further addressed.
In the next financial year, 2023-2024, the following key strategic areas will be prioritized. Peace and security of personal property, number one. Effective implementation of the parish development model and MYOGA. Acquisition of right-of-way and starting the construction of the standard gauge railway, as well as finalizing the rehabilitation of the meter gauge railway. Number four, investing in small-scale solar-powered irrigation systems to address climate change and ensure food security and eliminate the erraticness in agricultural production.
According to legislators, the prophesied hope by the president simply has to be complemented by fizzling out corruption tendencies, as taxation, the mineral industry, and administration, among others, lead in the corruption crisis.
The president is trying to show us that it's no longer tomorrow, it is now, to see Uganda improving and to go to middle income status, to money economy. Because if you see the dream we had before about 2040 vision, now it's shortened. It's like tomorrow. If we want to see Uganda going on, we should start now doing development things.
For economic growth is there, but it still hasn't caught up as the time before COVID. So there is something moving to positive, but it is not yet sufficient. That's what I can say. So, and secondly, the data being used by the president, even himself, he said this is data from finance, means they don't respect the whole country. So the data is not well distributed countrywide. This is average data. So when he talks about 6%, it doesn't mean that the whole country is 6%.
He has not said new things. That's unfortunate. He has not said new things, and what we require is implementation. Because this blame game, his speech was full of blaming.
The first sitting of the first meeting of the third session of the 11th Parliament of Uganda has been concluded with the president highlighting on the economic performance of the country, which he says is at $49.4 billion compared to the years before the NRM came to power.
Yeah, that was the state of the nation over there. If at all you missed this, of course, you'll get yourself a chance to get to see it once again here on Smart 24 TV on the business edition. Now getting to another story here, the government of Uganda has partnered with the Banana Industry Research and Development Center in an effort to increase value addition on banana here in the country. Of course, also increasing on Uganda's export potential. Our reporter Naomi was on top of this story. Of course, she had to compile very many ideas that were coming from different industries over there. Let's have a look at what she had to compile for us.
According to Uganda Export Promotion Board, the export value of bananas and banana products in 2020 amounted to approximately $28 million, and by 2022, there has been a surge to $6 billion export earnings. With the government's focus on value addition and the partnership with BADIC, this figure is expected to increase significantly in the coming years. Value-added banana products have witnessed a surge in demand globally, with a global market estimated to reach a value of $12 billion by 2026. Uganda's strategic focus on value addition positions the country to capture a significant share of this growing market. The collaboration between the government and BADIC aims to enhance value addition within the banana industry.
The export earnings stand at $6 billion, and we were tasked to make sure that we come and make it double, which will come to up to $12 billion.
Data from the Ministry of Agriculture indicates that Uganda is the second largest producer of bananas in the world, with an estimated annual production of over 11 million metric tons. However, a significant portion of this production is currently consumed domestically with limited value addition and exportation. Professor Florence Moranga, the Director General at BADIC, says that they are projecting Uganda's banana exports to reach a substantial growth rate of up to 20% per year.
At a point where we are really in the expansion phase, I'm talking from the standpoint of an industry producing 1.4 tons of dry stuff per day, emerging from one shift to a double shift, and building towards bringing capacity within the next 2 years of about 10 to 15 tons of dry stuff per day.
In Uganda's evolving business landscape, the quest for deeper market penetration and increased profitability has led entrepreneurs to embrace a range of tools and techniques for product distribution. Particularly, the focus on value-added products has given rise to a wave of innovation, creating exciting avenues for both businesses and consumers. The recent statistics show that the e-commerce market in Uganda has witnessed remarkable growth, with an annual growth rate of approximately 73%. This surge in online trade has allowed businesses to overcome traditional distribution limitations and reach customers in even most remote areas. According to Isaiah Semamulia, sales executive at Toke, indicated as they have launched the new generation tools of trade to have a deeper market penetration.
Trade, an organization cannot effectively distribute its products in the marketplace. So today, we witness the launch of our first batch of tools of trade that we're going to use mainly to distribute products in Central as well as Eastern Uganda. In Western Uganda, we actually have deeper market penetration, and our plan is to ensure that we deepen our market execution both in Central as well as Eastern Uganda.
Bananas are increasingly being targeted for income generation through public-private partnerships to alleviate poverty, fight hunger, and improve nutrition. Statistics from PIBID on the amount of bananas produced indicate that Uganda produces 9.9 million metric tons of bananas annually, and most of it is consumed locally. With government's efforts, value addition on matoke will create more revenue through exports.
Yes, thanks a lot, Naomi Mutumba, for that story. Of course, that story was compiled by our reporter, Naomi Mutumba. The reason for this value addition, of course, for this collaboration aims to propel the country's banana industry forward, ensuring value addition and expanding opportunities for exportation, of course. You see, when you add value, or it's incumbent to our country producers to always add value to our products so that we can increase the export potential of this very country. So that's a very good collaboration to add value to our bananas so that they should increase the export potential here in the country. Now, getting to another story here. According to 2021 Labour Force Survey report by Uganda Bureau of Statistics, only 11% of the youth have functional bank accounts, meaning that 89 of them are dormant. Could this be the reason for high transaction costs? All we are asking ourselves to see also transaction costs are leading to this problem. But of course, we had to meet with other bankers who had to give up their information telling us that that could be the reason, but also there are other reasons as to why most of the bank accounts are dormant. Let's have a look at this very story. A major challenge for Uganda's household is the highest cost of financial services. Data from the Uganda Bureau of Statistics Labour Survey indicate that only 11% of the youth have functional bank accounts. During the launch of InterSwitch partnership with bankers, financial experts attributed this to lack of accessibility to where one can transact, the cost of transactions, and lastly, lack of knowledge on how to access financial services.
In accounts. According to the last FinScope study, there are three key things that limit the access to financial services in Uganda. Number one is accessibility, so proximity to where you can transact from. The second is cost. As you rightly say, it often is still very expensive for most Ugandans to access financial services. And the third is knowledge. Many people still do not know how to access and how to use the financial services that we are putting out there.
This is true magic. The infrastructure, the cost of maintaining an ATM is so high. I don't have to now keep rolling out ATMs everywhere. Those machines are costly in terms of security, in terms of insurance, in terms of cash management, power, connections of internet availability. There are so many other costs.
According to Peter Kaumi, the country general manager of InterSwitch, the journey to make the cost of transactions affordable to Ugandans will depend on partnerships. For example, Equity Bank Uganda's collaboration with InterSwitch will enable Equity ATM machines to accept bank cards of other local participating banks and institutions on the InterSwitch network, easing accessibility of financial services not only in Uganda but also in Kenya.
Directly addressing two of those, the cost aspect and the proximity or accessibility aspect. By joining the InterSwitch family,
evidently there is transactional income. But as Peter has said, our approach is to have many people, as many people transacting at a low price. So it is not a high value, it's more of a high volume, low price model. So more transactions, more people transacting, but charged small amount of money, and that is how the banks and InterSwitch will make money. That is the true value in terms of dollars and cents. But the true reward for us is the impact.
Another challenge is the low levels of public confidence in formal financial institutions, largely due to historical experiences related to a series of crises and upheavals in the financial system. As a result, many Ugandans prefer to have their bank accounts dormant. However, in such partnerships, the cost of transactions via ATM will be reduced. For example, Equity Bank and InterSwitch cost will be reduced by 60%, and switching to regulated payment systems will bring public confidence back. Yeah, that's a great story coming in from the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, showing us that only 11% of the youth accounts are functional, meaning that 89 of them are dormant. And bankers attributed this to high transaction costs and, of course, lack of knowledge. Now getting to another story here, the United Traders Entrepreneurship Association has criticized the nation's fiscal and economic policies, saying that sometimes the trading environment are very difficult for them. So they are also preparing to strike due to this very reason. Let us have a look at what happened over there.
Right, I'm standing in the heart of Kampala city. This is downtown Kampala. Numerous arcades from the likes of Naluwama to my right, and over there above you can see Parkview, which you can't see obviously, but it's Parkview Shopping Center, one of the different arcades. And down there, as you can see, numerous arcades. Now, traders that transact business in the different arcades are stranded, and they say they are bound to go on strike, you would call it so. But what is basically the reason? One of the biggest reasons is the fact that there is a problem to transact business in regard to the licensing requirements when you talk about the taxation, URA among other players. Now 260,000 shillings seems little, but it has become a problem for these numerous traders that say with this, in regard to other problems such as taxation, to them they call it double taxation. They're not going to do any other licensing as far as requirements are concerned. And obviously licenses come every single year. That's according to KCCA, which needs different stakeholders to offer what they have to do per year. That's 260,000 shillings to transact business in the different arcades in here. Now, according to the association that brings together the different traders that transact business in there, and obviously Kampala has something like 30,000 traders in the different arcades. they say they are bound to go on strike, provided the situation isn't remedied. And the competition that comes with the different other players such as the Chinese, and then the burden to secure loans from the different banks that have to help out on transacting the business has been another challenge as far as their businesses are concerned.
Nga banka bwe batalina license ng'erina mu ggwanga ng'ate yabagwira awo abakola ku nsonga eno naddala nga mu system eza banking institution bo baliwa.
Bank of Uganda called upon commercial banks in light of the Small Business Recovery Fund. I have a proof.
Kampala Capital City Authority holds graded licensing rates for different businesses that opt to transact from the capital. As for the United Arcaders Traders Entrepreneurship Association, the licensing obligation that currently sits at 260,000 shillings, irrespective of the nature of business, has compounded a big burden that has further been undermined by untenable banking services, shrinking domestic market, and the erratic income tax.
People consider the issue to be very small, but forgetting that we lost our neighboring markets, the markets of Congo, markets of Sudan, Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda. Those people are no longer coming here, and that means as traders today we are basing on the internal market, and that alone makes business moving slow. People are not earning at all. We are basing on the internal market, and yet we are having these called investors, the Chinese and the Indians. They call themselves investors.
Income tax.
Income tax, we have been left hanging. They come at once, 3 million or so. They don't care. You'll be told that's your due to clear. Even if you explain that your business underperforms, they do.
According to the Arcaders Association spokesperson, Moses Lwegawa, failure to assimilate the Small Business Recovery Fund, a provision by the central bank, has impacted on business growth, further threatened by the unnecessary competition from foreign would-be investors.
Eggwanga Uganda, Bank of Uganda, neita banks zonna ne ziwitinensinga mu maaso gaayo ne zigamba zirina ssente ze bayita za Small Business Recovery Fund.
Right now, the banks deny about the recovery funds whenever traders try to access them. We wonder who is in control or whether institutions are ungoverned.
Sustainability of arcade-based businesses in central Kampala seems to be on the loose, with rents ranging from as little as 1 million shillings to about 10 million, coupled by limited sales. This is impacted by the tax obligation, with a presumed 78% of traders regarded illiterate and troubled by tax-related obligations, such as assessment and filing returns.
For a shop without big stock, you could spend a week without sales, but for rent,
there is a growing tumble among business holders that goes beyond operational costs, such as license fees, and authorities such as KCCA, the judiciary, plus banks, that has been highlighted by interest in the 41 billion shillings case involving Hamis Chegundu and Diamond Trust Bank, where concerns on legal lending limits and illegal deductions have been exposed.
Yeah, that's a great one coming from Ivan Tiwainkana over there, where the United Arcaders Traders Entrepreneurship Association criticizing government policies when it comes to trading environment, saying that the trading environment is very expensive for them. They cannot do any more business, and so they were trying to even strike over there. Let us see what's going to happen, or see what government, whether government will come up with some of the solutions to help these guys there. Now we're going to speak the saving culture in Uganda. The Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Service, together with the other participating financial institutions, have joined forces in their campaign Doubled. Anyone can start small, grow big, aiming at spearheading the saving culture in Uganda over here. So all these efforts, if put together and trying to push the saving culture in Uganda, would be a very good move that bankers are doing. Let's have a look at this very story.
So in this particular case, as we already indicated, the money that we will raise will go to one or two initiatives that are woman-owned or youth-owned that are dealing in anything green. So they could be in renewable energy, they could be in plastic recycling, they could be in biodiversity conservation like agroforestry, beekeeping.
According to Financial Capability Survey 2020 report, 43.9% of the adults save for consumption and 21.7% save for school fees. Therefore, the Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Service, together with other participating financial institutions, have come up with a campaign dubbed "Anyone Can Start Small, Grow Big," aimed at spearheading saving culture in Uganda. They say that 50% of Ugandans are saving and 43% are saving using boxes, which they say should be formally transformed.
So if we look at the capability survey, and they are telling us that 43% of Ugandans are using boxes, the banks can't sit back and relax. The only thing they can come up with is, how do we get these savers in boxes to get banked? How do we come up with a product that can link the informal sector into the formal financial institutions? So it takes us back to the spirit of collaboration.
In this campaign, they delivered a piggy bank to every financial institution to collect resources, and this money will be used to sponsor a successful applicant whose core value is sustaining the environment through his or her services and products.
Different institutions can give a different amount of money. We've got organizations that have given a 1.5, 1.7, 2.2. So it is up to the organization.
Banks historically, we've tended to do products from our boardrooms without knowing what is out there. Today the banks are going out. The reality is that today's younger people tend to prefer having their e-money easily accessed at any one time and every when they want to use it, because of the different platforms available for them to use their money. So it is something that is being put together now. As you can see, the central bank is also regulating, for example, the telecos that are in financial services. The commercial banks are also building what you'd call services that can allow you to have access to your money.
In 2020, COVID-19 FinScope report, which identifies and describes financial service needs and the gaps in the financial service provision, showed that 57% of Ugandans would not be able to sustain their lifestyle after just one day of lockdown, and that 81% would not be able to sustain it after 15 days. This lack of financial preparedness is partly because of poor saving culture. Of course, these are the bankers over there trying to join forces and informing Ugandans that this is the time we should save. So that piggy box that you've just seen there, every bank institution, they say Stanbic Bank, let's see, very many banks around here, they'll be using that piggy box, put money, and then a successful applicant will apply for that money. And if he wins, then that means the saving culture will start from there. That being said, let's go in for a short commercial break, and when I come back, Business Edition is still going on. Stay around.
Smart 24, driving business.
Waliwo abagamba nti okuyiiya emizannyo si muzannyo, olina okwewaayo n'okukkiririza ennyo mu kyoyiiya. Olina okubaayo n'omuntu akuyambako. Naye olowooza omuntu ng'ekyo kimuli mu musaayi, ebyo bimulya. Anti aba yazaalibwa kukola ekyo. Tega Pearl Magic Prime ne Pearl Magic Loco. Sigala ng'oyungiddwako olabe engero zaffe ennyuvu nga bikoleddwa mu ngeri eyaffe ey'ekinnansi.
Jerrycan! Hey, Master Blaster! Touch mwana! Buy Jerrycan with muscle! Those ones who say go for you only. Mundaba. Best school fees I teach you. When I go to Muskari, because of the cover that is very far. Is you serious? Is serious you? What? Yeah? You step it on it. Add kilometers to your legs and you get your sugar. Will you buy meat from Umaru? And Umaru refuse to give you enough meat. Mama! Show him that they don't joke with you. Umaru,
okukakaluka n'okulungi kwetaagako omuntu akuyambako n'olwekyo tujja kukuteerawo embeera esaanidde osobole okukola ekisinga awamu teri kitulema.
Luxury redefined at Seasan Hotel as you indulge in the splendor of elegant living fit for the royalty that you are. Step into comfort, pampering and blissful customer-centric service as you select from our range of comfy, exquisite living quarters furnished to meet with your royal preference. Surrounded by scenic beauty, our tropical setting allows you to escape the glamorous ordeal of city life. Our ambient green gardens will guide you to a place of revitalizing rest. The 3-star restaurant caters to your palate, serving your choice menu ranging from exotic cuisines to local delicacies. Our chefs will serve you full-course meals for a truly out-of-this-world culinary experience. Our fully stocked bar to whet your throat, from renowned global brand whisks, brandies, gins, beers and wines to our locally celebrated beverages, you will not lack for any brewage. It's an all-new experience in the East at Seasan Hotel, so visit today at Plot 15 to 19 Spire Road, Ginger, or contact us on +256 751 719 960 and +256 785 354 614 for reservations. Seasan Hotels, luxury redefined.
Say goodbye to paperwork and travel costs. Now every MTN customer can register to invest in securities anytime and anywhere with Zabu in a few simple steps. Step 1. Dial *292#. Step 2. Select option 1. Register with Zabu. Step 3. Enter your full names. Step 4. Enter your national identification number. Step 5. Enter your national identification card number. In 24 hours, you will receive an SMS confirming your registration. Congratulations, you are now ready to invest.
Smart 24, driving business.
Welcome back from that commercial break. The business edition is still continuing, coming to another story here. Remember, we celebrated the International Food Safety Day over the weekend, and of course, civil society organization and other farmer stakeholders in the food value chain said this is the time we should improve the proper food handling services over there so that we could even grow the market of our foods that we are producing here. Our reporter Ronan Harbour was on top of this story, of course, meeting with some of the civil society organization and these stakeholders. Let us have a look at what she had to compile for us.
During the gathering, participants emphasized the importance of precise guidelines for each stage of the value chain. Emphasizing proper handling practices, Honorable Frank Tumwebaze stressed the need for collective responsibility in the food safety, calling for collaboration among farmers, processors, distributors, retailers, and consumers. Additionally, he urged district agriculture and veterinary officers to be more proactive in their roles, implying that they should cease negligence.
The thing you need to do is to wake up those people who are there. The mindset is in other things. I don't think the problem is lack of experts, but lack of people who identify the work as critical and they do it. Do you need, apart from a vet, who else knows the safety of meat and milk apart from a vet? Every district has a DPO, true or false? What stops them from going on those radios to preach food safety standards? Those DPOs, those production coordinators are appointed not by me, nor by my PS, nor by the president. They are appointed by a group called District Service.
If we are not careful, these neighbors of ours are going to overtake us. And we say that Uganda being landlocked should be an opportunity, not a challenge.
In the spirit of resolving the various challenges, including the proper policy regulation of the agrochemicals, as harmonization between the Ministry of Agriculture and Health, and soon a law will be put in place to govern the agrochemicals industry.
There was a bit of a fight between the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Health on who should regulate the parasites, on who should be responsible for food safety. We now harmonize it. I start with my sister, Honorable Ruth Acheng. We harmonize it as leaders, and we agreed that the health sector and its agencies get responsible for regulating human medicine and the related inputs like cosmetics, human vaccines, and the related technological devices for those. And then we said agrochemicals, parasites, vaccines, everything falling on the side of animal, isn't it? We handle it under agriculture through a new authority.
However, will the extension workers receive an extension of their grants? Farmers have shared instances where they have encountered with extension workers who claim to have stopped their activities due to lack of payment.
We met with all the DPOs of the central region, and I had two questions I asked them. Why really you were given an increment? Of course, we have information. Yes, salary. We know their salary, and we asked them, why did you all of a sudden stop working? We are not facilitated. Yes, they were open. We are not facilitated. When you go, I have a small budget. When I come on the ground, your farmers need facilitation. Yes, the mindset of farmers, if you want them gathered to give them information, they will need facilitation. If you don't have it, you just teach the tables around and the desks. So it means you have to do what? You have to look for facilitation. Yeah.
The extension staff are there, but unfortunately, money was removed. Go and ask your MPs. You have people who represent for us all. I have nothing to do. There's no money.
There is a commitment to promoting food safety and a collective determination to work together towards the development and implementation of practical and accessible guidelines for the entire food value chain.
That's a great one coming from Ronan Nahabi. She's the one who compiled for us that story, making sure that we improve food handling there. Of course, civil society organizations and other stakeholders have always come up to make sure that we have good, proper handling of food so that we can increase even the marketing of our food that are being produced in the country. Here, getting to another story here, the permanent, of course, from members of parliament from in the Parliament of Uganda raised the concerns disapproving with government statement, the government said that these medical interns are going to start paying for themselves. If at all you want to do your internship, this is the high time you should pay for yourself. Now the question is, where did these interns going to get money to pay for their internship? And then the Office of the Leader of Opposition challenged the Minister of Finance's decision to require pre-intern medical students to pay for their internship. The statement from the Parliamentary Secretary of Health stated that medical interns should be responsible for covering the costs of their internship. The question is, will these people get money? Let us have a look at this very story that was compiled from the Parliament of Uganda.
The medical interns have been sidelined for a year now, with the Ministry of Health saying there are no funds to cater for their placement in hospitals as a mandatory requirement before enrolling into professionalism. The latest communication saw the Permanent Secretary, Dr. Diana Atwine, accept an online application for medical interns who are willing to pay for their internship expenses.
Pre-medical interns to pay for their internship is illegal. On this 8th day of June 2023, we draw your attention that yesterday, 7th June 2023, the Senior Public Relations Officer, Ministry of Health, issued a press release which confirmed earlier media reports to the effect that the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, had guided that pre-medical interns who are willing to pay for their internship should apply online to avoid further delays. The guidance is discriminatory and a blatant violation of Article 21 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. I would like to state that Ministry of Health has no powers to alter terms and conditions.
According to the lawmakers, it is shocking for Ministry of Health to take up such a decision, well knowing that most of the interns cannot afford to pay for their internship placement. The law stipulates the government shall cater for the training practice of people in that category.
We heard with shock about the pronouncement of the PA's Minister of Health urging our interns to pay for their own work, and this is an indication how Uganda is moving. Yesterday, the president was bragging that the economy of Uganda is moving very far. The president was emphasizing that we are performing well, but to me, I really look at it that Uganda is going backward. We are deteriorating every now and then.
As you know, the interns have been at home, not paid. That has been emphasized. We produced the report from the Health Committee, and the Speaker was also very clear that the government should look for money for interns. In fact, even the Cabinet pronounced itself on this issue and urged the Ministry of Finance to look for funds. As you know, this government has been saying that the sciences are very important. If you go to these big schools now and the other schools in A level, you find almost 3/4 of the students are taking sciences.
These have threatened to join the plight of the medical interns through demonstrating in a bid to demand for the rights of the medical personnel.
Joining the medical intern, we are demanding that government of Uganda, Mr. Museveni, the health ministers, and Atwine, and whoever is responsible in this connivance, to retract and deploy these doctors immediately. Otherwise, we are joining their efforts. We are joining at all fronts. We demand that they must be deployed immediately and at a fee.
In the same vein, the legislators have demanded that the Office of the President should remove the mandatory COVID tests for events where the President is in attendance. According to them, it's costing the country billions of money, yet World Health Organization pronounced that COVID is no longer a threat to people.
Has categorically stated
that it is the reason he held back the entire opposition of parliament, which he leads, from attending so as to save the taxpayers' money, because he's aware of the financial difficulties the country is undergoing right now. The leader of opposition has further sent advice to the president that you can deliver the budget speech on Zoom.
And as long as you are vaccinated, and as long as you get your booster dose and you have your certificate, you are not supposed, you can engage and you can go in public as much as you want. You have gone to airports, you have traveled, and you saw the president when they were meeting the king, I think the king or the queen some time back. He was the only president in the whole world with a mask.
All members of parliament who attended yesterday's State of the Nation address, all of them must be isolated, including the speaker. And you know, the period normally given is 14 days. So for 2 weeks, we need all members of parliament who attended the State of the Nation address yesterday to be isolated, including the Speaker of Parliament.
Yesterday, President Museveni willingly accepted and announced that he had COVID-19 after being tested. And it's from this that the leader of opposition has requested the president to use Zoom during the budget reading next week.
Welcome back from that commercial break. The business edition is still going on. Like I said, we'll be rushing to Uganda Revenue Authority, where we have a prudent tax revenue mobilization, where it remains a major component to Uganda's resource envelope. And then Uganda Revenue Authority has launched that what they call Mpa e-Receipt Yange campaign. That in regard, it means that every time you go to any supermarket, you make sure that you demand for your receipt, because it is from that receipt that reflects that you've paid tax or you've remitted tax to the government of Uganda. And if you don't demand, or if you forget to demand for your receipt, it means that your tax has not been reflected to the tax body. Let us have a look at this very story. To have a decent revenue collection in Uganda, Uganda Revenue Authority launched e-free system where there is issuance of receipts. However, the uptake of e-free system has been down. That's according to the information from Uganda Revenue Authority. And now today, the same body has launched Mpa Receipt Yange. In this, it means that every time you go to any supermarket, it's your responsibility to demand for your receipt. If you don't demand for your receipt, that means you've been cheated of your tax and will not be reflected from the Uganda Revenue Authority.
E-receipt is an evidence that that particular transaction you've handled, whether a service, purchase of a service or purchase of a good, has actually paid VAT. So we want to appeal to all our consumers, wherever you go, try and ask for an e-receipt. And once you get it, upload it on this app of Mpa Receipt Yange campaign, and that will give you a chance to win. Now, the uptake of e-frees has been low, mainly for two reasons. One, the people who are supposed to ask for this receipt, the consumers, have not been sensitized. And this is what this campaign is about.
According to the Value-Added Tax Gap Analysis 2009, 2010 and 2016-17, authored by Economic Policy Research EPRC Centers, the compliance gap, that's the difference between the actual revenues collected and the potential revenues that could have been collected, is in the range of between 30 to 39%. The Commissioner General of Uganda Revenue Authority says that the current collected taxes monitored using e-frees contributes about 15% of the total collection, adding that if this system is rolled out comprehensively, government can collect more than that.
VAT, the tax head which we monitor through this technology, contributes only about 15% of the total collection we make. And out of that collection, we collect about 3.4 trillion Uganda shillings. Now, countries that have deployed this technology efficiently, VAT contributes about 30%. Even countries within the East African region who have deployed this technology effectively and who have a similar tax rate of 18% for VAT, like we do, they collect about 30%. So that tells you what we could be losing. If we are collecting about 3.4 trillion without the technology and we are only collecting 15% of the total collection, if we effectively roll out this technology, we'll collect double.
We, in partnership with URA, of sensitizing our members to make sure they comply.
The Uganda's public expenditure is growing at a faster rate due to the need to finance her national development plan with the goal of attaining high middle-income country status as envisioned in the Vision 2040. Stakeholders therefore say that there is a need for tax compliance to have a robust tax collection strategy to reach the country's need and lower the burden of borrowing.
We need this just because to have one, as Ugandans, they need probably to elevate their revenue collections. You see, revenue collection is not an individual interest, it is a national interest. And as we are struggling with the budget, whereby like a lot of money is being lost within other tax payers that are really evading tax, probably the Mpari City Yange will reveal the actual revenue, the actual performance of the economy.
It improves that compliance level and accountability. So as Kasit already, we have that program of sensitizing our members. We are fully embracing this initiative and we just encourage our traders to embrace compliance.
According to the Minister of Finance, the core objective of domestic revenue mobilization is to improve revenue collection, lifting Uganda's tax to GDP ratio to between 16 to 18% within the next 5 fiscal years. This will bring Uganda closer to its theoretical potential and exceeds the target of 16% to GDP ratio as set out in the National Development Plan 2. Yeah, that's a great one coming in from Uganda Revenue Authority's campaign doubled Mpari City Yange. Simply means that every time you buy your own products from a bigger supermarket, you have to demand for your receipt. Of course, that will reflect, or that means that your taxes will be reflected to Uganda Revenue Authority. You see some of the information that are compiled there from the Uganda Revenue Authority. They're making sure that every Ugandan should pay tax. It should be incumbent of you, or you should love it on your heart to make sure that you pay tax to, of course, to ease the burden of borrowing in this very country. That's what Uganda Revenue Authority staff are saying, that it should be everybody's responsibility, and you should love it, please, paying tax over there. Now we're going to tackle to another story here of child labor. Of course, government is putting steps to make sure that they reduce on child labor in the country here, which is going higher. Of course, if you look at the statistics, they're saying that over 47% of the child here in Uganda are subjected to child labor. These are some of the statistics that are coming up from the Uganda Bureau of Statistics Labor Force Survey 2021. Of course, our reporter was on top of the story, and let's have a look at what she had to compile for us over there.
Child labor remains a problem in Uganda. According to the 2021 National Labour Force Survey, more than a half, approximately 10.4 million, which is equivalent to 67% of children aged 5 to 17 years, worked. The majority of working children, approximately 47%, are in bricklaying and stone quarrying, followed by 42% in agriculture and 11% in employment. Engaging with some of the children indicated as poverty has led them to do such hectic work. These make over 20 jerrycans of stones a day, where they are paid only 200 Ugandan shillings for each.
Things to take to school, like they need 2 rooms, and they remaining school fees. Yes.
I do stone quarrying and I am 8 years old. My mom left home, so I have to do this job because I am looking for money to buy scholastic materials. A day I can make 5 jerry cans of stones. So my income is always around 2,000 shillings and 3,000 shillings.
Abano tujje nabo wetubaleka awaka babeera bajja tambula nnyo.
Leaving children home is not safe. So the other thing, when you come with your child to quarry, you double the number of jerry cans because they also have to look for money to see that we earn 10,000 shillings for school.
Across Uganda, an increasing level of poverty has forced an alarming number of children into the grips of exploitative labor. Recent figures portray a grim picture, exposing the grave repercussions suffered by Uganda's most vulnerable citizens. According to a detailed study undertaken by the National Bureau of Statistics, child labor rates have increased by 35% in the last 3 years, and as a country, we must recommit to eliminating this vice.
So it is therefore today we are reaffirming and asking the population out there that we must work together to balance and eliminate dangerous child labor. When you go to mining, where they mine, where they do fishing, majority of the children are there in the fishing villages, in the lake shores, working, supporting and selling. Mining, you find a lot of children in the mining areas. So we are saying this negative, dangerous child labor should be regulated.
Regulations of 2012 outlaws the employment of children unless the Commissioner for Labor has given a license for anybody to engage children. So it's really an offense for anybody to begin to engage children without securing that authority from the Commissioner of Labor.
According to the ministry, government has rolled out several wealth creation programs aimed at increasing household incomes, which will economically empower families and stop children from involving in child labor. These include a special grant for the elderly, where 5 billion was allocated in the financial year 2022-2023, and on this year's budget, additional 4 billion has been allocated, support through the parish development model, and Uganda Women's Entrepreneurship Fund.
A program which is called a special grant for the elderly. This is a grant that we give to people between 65 years to 80 years, those who are not yet getting SAGE money, because SAGE is paid from 80 years and above. But from 65 years to 80, we give them what we call special grants for the older persons to support them to raise income, so that even if they have their grandchildren with them, they will not subject them to hard labor. We also have under the PDM support for women, youth, persons with disability, but also in the ministry we have the Uganda Women's Entrepreneurship Fund, and now we have another financing to support women.
While the battle against child labor remains an uphill struggle, government's commitment and allocation of resources reflect a promising step forward. It is crucial that these programs are implemented effectively, reaching the most vulnerable and marginalized communities.
Those have been the stories that we managed to compile for you in the days of the week, of course, using our business today over there. Make sure you get us on all our social media platforms. That's go to just Twitter, just put Smart24 TV Live. You can as well go to our YouTube, Smart24 TV Live. Let's meet again next week on the same program, the Business Edition. Bye-bye. Have a nice weekend.